This is the Seiko SNE595, or in the Japanese market, it's called the SBDJ061. So I've had this watch for a good month or so now. I thought I'd make a review of it because it's pretty new, and I don't think there's a lot of people out there reviewing it yet. So yeah, one thing I want to mention before I start, this is an aftermarket bracelet, so I'll get into that a little more lately. But this is the watch with an aftermarket bracelet from Uncle Straps. So first, I'll get into the stats. As I mentioned, yeah, this is known internationally as the SNE595. I don't know if it's available in all markets yet. I think it's available in Japan, the UK. I haven't seen it listed in the US sites for in Seiko's US site yet, but it might come out there. I don't know. So this is a steel dive watch. It's got 200 meters, I should say, of water resistance. The case is 41.0 millimeters in size, so I think that's the size of the bezel without the crown, I imagine. The thickness is 11.3 millimeters, and it's got a 48.8 millimeter lug-to-lug width, and it uses 20 millimeter lugs. So as you can tell by the tick, it's a solar quartz watch. It's solar powered. It doesn't say solar on there, but on the back it does say solar. And I think it's got something like a 10-month power reserve at full charge. So yeah, it runs, it's a standard quartz watch. I think it's rated at something like plus minus 15 seconds per month of accuracy. And that's consistent with what I've got. I've got maybe about plus 5 seconds a month out of it so far. And it's a dive watch, so of course that means it has a screw-down crown, it has the high water resistance, and it has a rotating bezel. I think it's 120 clicks, but yeah, unidirectional bezel, so you can only twist it counterclockwise. And it has a sapphire crystal without anti-reflective coating, I should note. And the price is, it comes in the Japanese market at 71,500 yen stock. That's about 450 US dollars at the current exchange rates. And I actually got it for 57,200 yen at Yodobashi Camera in Tokyo. So I'm guessing that's probably the actual retail price. It seems like Seiko allows some of its watches to be sold below the MSRP and some of them aren't. So this one seems to have some leeway. So yeah, I bought it for 57,000 yen, which is about 360 US dollars. So as far as the styling goes, you can see it's got the so-called Pepsi bezel, the blue and red, first 15 minutes marked in red. The bezel itself is slightly ridged. There's probably a better term for that, but it's not quite solid. It's got some little ridges in there, which feel kind of nice. So as I mentioned, yeah, I put an aftermarket bracelet on it. The stock bracelets, this is the stock bracelet that I took off, and the stock bracelet has a locking clasp, of course, like most dive watches, and it does have hollow end links. So I'll get into that a little more later. But the edges of the strap were the 12 o'clock edge was really squeaky, which which is why I changed the bracelets. As I mentioned, it runs about, I've run it at about plus 5 seconds per month, so it's extremely accurate, set it and forget it, as they say. It does have lume. I've had the lume, it's pretty good. When charged with direct sunlight, it's fairly bright. It will drop off pretty quickly after that, but I've been able to just charge it up with my phone flashlights before I go to bed, and then when I wake up in the morning, if the room is still dark, I can still read the watch. So it's pretty solid lume. It's probably nothing extreme, nothing on the high end of the dive spectrum, but it's certainly functional. Very legible. The hands are large. The hour hand and minute hand are distinct. So one thing, if you're familiar with Seiko's dive watch lineup, this is from the Prospex line, I believe, or Prospex. I don't quite know how they actually pronounce that. So there are two other lines of solar dive watches that Seiko makes. One of them is at 38 millimeters. The case size is 38 millimeters, so a little smaller than this guy. That's at 10.6 millimeters thick, and it might actually be discontinued. I don't see it on Seiko's Japan website anymore. I see only one model of that range in Seiko's USA website, so I kind of wonder if it's on its way out. And then there's another range very similar that are 43 millimeters, so slightly larger, both of the 38s and the 41s say solar on the dial, and they use a different handset, but it seems like this is intended to be kind of a newer handset. So I kind of wonder if this watch is intended to replace both of those by kind of splitting the difference. So if this is 41, then the previous ones were 38 and 43. Maybe this is intended to, be the middle of those and take over both of those. I don't quite know. You'd have to ask Seiko, I suppose. They all have the same movement. Also, I neglected to mention that the movement is the V157 movement. So they all have the same movement, the same exact functionality. They come in a couple different colorways, but I think all of them do have a blue-red Pepsi bezel like this as one of the options. So yeah, this is perhaps a successor, perhaps another entry in that family of solar dive watches. I suspect that I can't imagine that Seiko is going to produce 3 of the same watches with the same movement at the same time. Who knows? You have to check with Seiko and how well they're selling. But yeah, this is quite similar to those two, just a slightly different size and a little bit thicker. So as I've mentioned, this is an aftermarket strap. This is from Uncle Straps, also known as Uncle Seiko. This is a Jubilee style bracelet, so it's got 5 links across right here, popularized by kind of vintage Rolex watches. And fortunately, this bracelet was made to fit the 38mm models, but the end links fit just right on this, no modification, no problem. So the case must be similar enough to where, yeah, I think this bracelet will also work on the 43mm models, although don't quote me on that. So yeah, you can get some of the Uncle Straps bracelets for this particular model, even though it's quite new. And frankly, I really like it. I'll get into that more in a minute. But yeah, this also has a locking clasp on it. And I think despite the listings on the website said that the links were, you could sort of push them out, but I think these are what are called screw links. Do I have the right side here? Is it the other side? Sorry. Yeah. Yes. So I think you have to actually have a small screwdriver to open these links. And, it's a little, you have to, fortunately there are, what do they call these? The drilled lugs. So you can just poke out the bracelet like that. And then the spring bars that Uncle Straps sends will fit on this watch. So I don't have a screwdriver this small. I changed the actual strap myself and then went to a watch store to get them to adjust the size. But yeah, if you do want to go with this option on this watch, it is possible. So next I'll get into my likes. I really like the bezel color on this watch. I haven't had any dive watches before, and I do like the sort of fun, two-tone bezel like this. It kind of has this nice splash of color. It makes it sort of stand out, and it also makes it legible to see where the start of the bezel is and how much time has passed. So yeah, it's good fun. I really like it. Doesn't feel too big, despite it being 41mm, 48, almost 49mm lug to lug. Just the shape of the case and everything fits quite well on me. I don't really feel self-conscious about it or anything like that. It's somewhat large, but I think it's just case shape and the way the size is, the bezel and everything, the styling makes it seem reasonably sized, even though I have fairly small wrists. And of course, solar quartz is super reliable. It's just if I set this down for a week or two, no problem. The date's going to be fine. It's not going to complain or anything like that. It's just going to keep ticking no matter what. And the bezel, of course, this is my first dive watch, as I mentioned, so having the bezel is handy, just timing things. Previously I had a chronograph watch. I sort of like the low effort needed for the bezel. You can, if you forget it, there's no problem. It's not like a running chronograph. And, just, handy, useful. And the bracelet upgrade especially, I feel like the key thing that I really think kind of makes me really like this watch, makes me wear it very often, is the bracelet. So I guess there's no polite way to put this. It makes it look a lot more expensive. You're sort of coasting off of the prestige associated with Rolex and Jubilee style bracelets. So yeah, on wrist it looks very nice. It looks fancy from a distance. Rolex has kind of made dive watches appear to be quite expensive and fancy, so I do like that a lot. And yeah, I've just worn it a lot. It's very just very easy, very simple, very functional. But yeah, especially on this bracelet, it really unlocks it. So I'll get into my dislike next. So that brings me to the dislikes with the. So the stock bracelet is it's fine. It's a standard 3-link one, but yeah, at 12 o'clock, one of these it has hollow end links, and one of these end links was just squeaking like mad. Maybe I could have, I don't know, put some oil on it or something, or I might have been able to take it back to the store, but I bought it on a trip to Tokyo, and I'm not in Tokyo very often, so it would have been a little bit of a pain to take it somewhere to get serviced. Yeah, so while the band itself, the stock band itself was fine, not a lot of complaints. It's nothing great, but nothing bad. But yeah, just every time I moved my wrist, it would go squeak, 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 and it was just driving me crazy. So, the strap upgrade is, I think I bought it at 100 USD. You might be able to get it on sale at certain times a year, but this isn't an especially expensive watch, especially you can go, for much higher end dive watches if you want. And, there's a little bit of flex on the bracelet, which might bug some people. I don't know. But yeah, even, cost of this watch plus 100 USD for the bracelet, I think is a fair deal for an extremely functional, very low fuss watch. And the only other complaint I have about it, I suppose, is the crystal is sapphire, but it doesn't have any anti-reflective coating. So, you can see I'm just filming this on a phone here. You can see the phone camera there reflected in the coating. Despite that, it is pretty legible. It's not, the hands and the indices are so bright that even a little reflection doesn't totally wash them out. But I mean, if you compare it to to me, the gold standard of anti-reflective that I've seen is the Seiko Astron like this. Like this is just, that whatever they do for the anti-reflective coating on the Astron is just wonderful. And I think Seiko must save this coating for, upmarket watches. I know they're more expensive mechanical dive watches have anti-reflective coating. So while it would be great to have, maybe Seiko just isn't willing to do it at this price point. I don't know if it's expensive. I don't know. Yeah, I have to ask Seiko, I suppose. So yeah, despite the stock bracelets and the somewhat reflective crystal, I really enjoy this watch and wear it a lot. And if you're looking at this watch, you might be looking at other alternatives as well. If you're looking for other solar dive watches, so of course the other big player in this market is Citizen. They'll happily sell you a wide variety of solar dive watches, across a wide variety of price ranges. I think my personal preference, I didn't really like any of the styling on the Citizen's dive watches. They're not bad or anything. It's just not kind of to my taste the way that the Seiko styling is. And there's also, if you just want to go for something, a solar quartz or a quartz dive watch rather, there's the Casio Duro line. I don't know if they're still called that, but basically Casio will happily sell you a dive watch for about $100. It's a quartz, and I think it probably, I haven't ever handled one myself. I doubt the finishing is quite what, this one would be at that you have at the higher price ranges. But for functionality, bang for the buck, the Casio Duro is pretty hard to beat. So there is that option if you're looking for a quartz dive watch. So that brings me to the last part, is who is this for? So I think that I think a lot of people who are into dive watches are into mechanical watches as well. So they might look at this 1 hertz tick rate of the quartz and immediately dismiss it. And fair enough. And there's quite a lot of mechanical dive watches out there for anybody who is interested in them. But if you're willing to go solar quartz and this price range, roughly 500 USD, and you do like the styling on this, then it's quite. I'd say it's quite a lot of much for the money. It's going to be super reliable. You can go diving with it. Of course, I live in Nagano where we're landlocked, so it's never seen much water. But if you do like the style, if you do want the dive watch bezel, if you do want sort of the trappings of a dive watch, you like this price range, and you like or are okay with solar quartz, then this is quite a nice watch, especially if you stick an aftermarket strap on it. So I hope that's helped anybody who's interested in this watch, who just wants to know what it's like, or if you're interested in getting one. So thanks, and see you next time.